come out. Wait for me, butterfly, wait for me. I'm only trying to set you free. Wait for me, problems, wait for me. I'm only human, so let me be. Let me be.
Wow. I want to thank IBM for documenting my life in computers. I'm pretty sure I started with that Selectric typewriter in ninth grade. Okay, what I'd like to do now is introduce one of the many role models that you will be introduced to over the next few days. Mani Dasgupta is from our title conference sponsor, IBM Global Business Services. She's the Chief Marketing Officer, and she leads GBS's worldwide marketing, including brand, advertising, product, and field marketing. Prior to her current role, she spent many years in design and development of enterprise system software. Mani has an undergraduate degree in engineering and computer science, and she also has an MBA from Xavier Institute of Management. So join me in welcoming Mani Dasgupta.
Okay. Thanks, Alyssa. Thank you. On behalf of IBM, I would like to welcome you again to the 2018 Forte MBA Annual Women's Leadership Conference. And as I look around the room, and I was talking to Alyssa and Joanne earlier, I feel the energy in the room. You know, I see the excitement, I feel the energy. Reminds me back on day one in my B school. The first day, we gather around, super excited, and all of us together dressed in our best suits, right? Taking the first picture of the class together, and we stand there looking at the camera, eyes full of hope. 50 buckets of ice cold water straight on our heads from the second story, courtesy the seniors. I mean, it's a great way to welcome, I guess, but life's like that. Life's like that, and I feel nothing prepares you for corporate life quite like an MBA. Yeah, so you guys are in the right space. You know, when I look around the room, I also feel inspired. There is so much talent around me, so much grit, so much determination. Each one of you has come here successfully enrolled in MBA programs from many leading institutes. You know, you have competed. Many of you are working full-time. Some have families, dependents. You have overcome, you know, financial obligations, adversities. I'm just so proud to be here with all of you. But as a marketer and as a brand champion, I really believe in the power of the words we use, yeah? And to me, each one of you here is a leader. Not a woman leader, not a female leader, no, a leader, yeah? And I feel we are at an inflection point where we start, you know, as you go into your MBA programs or you complete them and step into your careers, that's the inflection point when you choose, you know, with your words, how powerful you would be, yeah? So as a proud sponsor since 2012 and a company with a 106-year-old rich history of diversity in leadership, I would like to take a moment and congratulate everybody in the room with a round of applause. You are great. You know, over the next 2 days, you will learn a lot. There's a lot of networking. Forte has put together this amazing, amazing platform for you. But I want to share with you a couple of personal stories and hope to shape a couple of thoughts for you as you step into the future of how you define the future as it unfolds. You know, it took me 21 years to experience unconscious bias for the first time. Yeah, 21 years. And you may think that I am lucky, and I would say it's part luck and part by design. The luck piece was around things that I couldn't control, you know. For instance, I was born in a middle-class family in India. India, as you know, is a land of diversity, but it's also a land of contrasts, yeah? On one hand, they worship the goddess supreme. On the other hand, it also has one of the highest rates of female infanticide, and it could go either way. It could go either way. I was just lucky and blessed to be born to the parents that I have, who did not see a difference in genders. Yeah? Sometimes a little too literally, and I'll show you what I mean. That's me. Me and my siblings eating ice cream. I'm the one in the front, must have been 11, 12 years old. If you look at our hairstyles, you know, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and see the smallest one has no hair. So it was sometimes a little too literal. But you know, gender was never a topic of conversation as I was growing up. And what it did was it freed up my mind, and it didn't put a burden on top of my head to try and become something or not be something just because of who I was, you know, as who I was. And it made me go ahead and compete, right? When it frees up your brain, and you know, if you're not winning or you're not quite there, it's because you haven't tried hard enough, or you haven't trained enough, or maybe that's not the right place for you. But if you do, yeah, if you do win, it's because of you, because you trained hard, because you were the best amongst everybody. So that, you know, is an amazing gift to have, and that was the design of what my parents did around me. I went on to play it safe in corporate America, and my sister, my daredevil sister, she went on to become a fighter controller in the Indian Air Force, yeah? So, yeah, I really played it safe. But you know, that's something that I want to leave with you, my first thought, is the power of influence, yeah? The most impactful of the power of influence is through parenting, but it also happens in the workplace, through mentoring, through the work culture that we set up, yeah? And each one of you, each one of us in this room has that ability to create an environment around you which doesn't have shackles, yeah? You know, influence comes in very deceptively small forms. You know, it's in that you know, the dress you pick, the color you wear, the birthday gift that you give. And you got to recognize it, yeah? You got to recognize it. So this is my daughter. This is the day she was born. When I took her out of the hospital, I put this onesie on her that had blue on it. And I didn't think twice. I just took her out. And people pointed at her and said, "He is so cute. He has so much hair." And I just smiled, you know, I just smiled. These are the things that the society does, and you gotta recognize it, yeah? You gotta recognize these small things for what it is, and you gotta choose not to use it. These small things matter, and we have the power to be able to set that environment around us. So that's the first thought, yeah? The power of influence. Now, what do you do when you get into an environment where, you know, things are stacked up against you, right? What do you do? So like I said, the 21 years, as I grew up, went into my first job, I was a coder, yeah? I was a coder. And I was actually one of the first women that company hired. I was the only woman in the company. It was interesting. It was very interesting. And I was given, I was given beautification projects, you know? When you do a website design, where does the button go? What color is the button? Yeah? So I'm like, this is too easy. I don't want to do this. And I was the only one doing this. So I went up to my manager and said, why don't you give me something else as well? I want to design, the full package software. And he said, I think you should do this. And it didn't seem right. It didn't seem right. And it wasn't fair. So I went up and I wanted to raise my voice. I went and spoke to the CEO. When? It was a town hall like this. And he was asking people questions, and I stood up, right? I raised my hand, and I stood up, and I said, I think this company is not using my brain. And what can you do about it? Silence. Rookie mistake, probably, my first company, And he blinked twice, and then he said, I think we can find a project tough enough for you. The next 3 months, the hardest I've ever worked, right? The hardest I've ever worked. It was sleepless nights, but what was interesting was the people around me, these men, my friends, my colleagues, they stepped up and they helped me and they worked with me and we were successful. We made that project, we put it across the finishing line, and that's when I recognized that this is the power of the collective, and we got to do that. So the second thought that I want to raise with you is use your voice, raise your voice, but also recognize what's around you, yeah? And use the power of the collective. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about, something as I look back, right? As I look back, we are all running forward. We try to do more. We want to grow. And we know that growth and comfort don't coexist, right? Growth and comfort don't coexist, but we keep running and we keep running. We want to grow. If I look back, what would I tell my younger self? I always had wanted to prioritize things that I had control over, right? Work, I can manage work. My own time, I can manage my own time. But what we often don't do is to look at the softer aspects of things and things that you cannot control. And those are the personal relationships. If I could leave that thought with you, I have learned the hard way that if you have time, just pick up the phone and talk to the person that you love the most. I think that makes us special, that makes us different, and that would make you more successful than you ever can be. So here we are. We can all create this environment without shackles for the ones that follow, for their growth. We have the power to use our voice, raise our voice for the right kind of issues. And if we are having problems, the men and women around us are going to pull us right through it, right? With that thought of equality and partnership, I am amazing, pleased to welcome our keynote speaker for the morning, for the day, Joanne Lippman. Joanne recently published a book called That's What She Said, What Men Need to Know and What Women Need to Tell Them About Working Together. Joanne is a veteran journalist. She is most recently the Chief Content Officer at Gannett and the Editor-in-Chief at USA Today. She has been vocal about gender issues and equality in workplace all through her life and has spoken at conferences like the World Economic Forum. I would like to welcome Joanne to the stage to talk about her book, her life, and the impact of gender equality on the workplace. Joanne.
Thank you.